You thought I didn't see you now, didn't you? You tried to sneak by me now, didn't you? Now give me what you promised me. Get it here.
Yeah. As I sit here and look at my life and how things could have been if my daddy was here, I can't help but think about all the people that grew up without a daddy, just like me. And I tell you, it hurts.
Good afternoon. We are here with Mr. Lance Shabazz talking about his book, Blood, Sweat, and Tears, The Nation of Islam and Me. Welcome. How are you?
I'm fine. Thank you, Layla.
So let's just dive right in.
Yes.
It was a lot in this book. So I'm going to ask different questions about different topics. You may have to rearrange the order.
Yes, of course.
Okay. The first thing was your family had businesses.
Yes.
Let's talk about the businesses your family had, and did you have those? Did your family have those because of the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad?
Yes, I would say the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was responsible for my father, my uncles, and them going into business. My father worked as a barber, had his own barber shop. My uncle also owned a barber shop, and another uncle owned a construction company. And these were major brothers who worked inside the Nation of Islam. My uncle joined the nation in 1954 after he came home from the Korean War. My other uncle joined in in the mid-50s, I would say, same with my father. My grandmother came along around that period too, around 56, 57. And they were all registered Muslims, followers of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And the businesses, there's also my uncle, Henry, later on opened up the Supreme Burger, or purchased it from Brother Lawrence. Brother Lawrence and then would move to Atlanta and set up shop down there, many businesses down there, him and his family. But my family was major contributors to the Nation of Islam. I myself began working in the steak and take business. Steak and take, we prepared the Philly style steaks. At that time it was 99 cents. It was considered a meal on a hero. And steak and take, yes. Vegetarian sandwiches, many nights there. I was in high school working the steak and take business after school. We had a business originally on 10844 New York Boulevard, which was owned previously by Brother Levi Forex, who him and his family had the steak and take, and he had sold the business to Brother Cortha, and Brother Cortha and his blood brother, Brother Cornell 2X. That's how I came aboard. And I began to work there and then became a part owner in the steak and take business. And we opened up another one at 150-13 150th Street in Jamaica. And York College was coming. They said through the expansion, we had to leave that area. We went to 117-28 Sufton Boulevard, where we opened up a steak and take right there. And it was very, very good business. One of my deficiencies at the time was inexperience in owning a business. Even when I opened up the Shabazz Bakery and Dairy, I had hired everybody, it seems like, and I wanted to just spread it around, and my father warned me about that. But you know what they say, sometimes, inexperience, but it taught me. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us, self-sufficiency and to do for self. And during that period of time, you would have found most of the Muslims doing something for themselves. My uncle first worked with a brother named Jackie, and it was Jackie and George Barbershop that was in Brooklyn. And in January the 1st of 1960, he moved to Wyandanch and opened up the barbershop there at 1533 Straight Path Road in Wyandanch, and later 1305 Straight Path Road. And I want to say this, my family were good contributors to the Nation of Islam in the early years. There's a masjid right now, which was the barbershop. My uncle and my father were the original ones who donated it to the community. And that's right out there again, 1305 Straight Path Road. And, Minister Farrakhan had moved into the home of Malcolm X, which was in East Elmhurst, after the firebomb. It was my uncle who had the construction company, and Brother Robert, who did the work. And my uncle told me the many nights he spent over there at the home, even after Minister Farrakhan and his family moved in, putting the gold, different things he would explain to me that he was doing into the home. So they were major contributors. And moving a little further, the reason I wanted to write this book was because Blood, Sweat, and Tears, the Nation of Islam and Me, is because there's so many people who have done so much great work in the Nation of Islam, and they are told basically, you know, just keep it to yourself, it doesn't mean anything. And I felt that as a young child, I loved the Nation of Islam from age 7, 8. I would collect the newspapers, cut out articles, and just anything that was pertaining toward the Nation of Islam. I kept from a young child. I knew the ministers during that time in New York. You know, Minister Farrakhan actually came in 1965, but I knew the minister before him. I knew the local ministers that was there, you know, Louis 6X Sims and others who were the ministers in the Nation of Islam. Yes.
Like you always want to give a nice, you know, some thought and then pause it so people can.
Okay.
You know what I always found interesting?
Yes.
What your family, back in the day when they had their businesses, were they able to read and write? I always found it interesting what Elijah Muhammad or the early nation, not real early, but the nation was able to build with people who were, in a lot of cases, illiterate.
Well, you know, my father only completed the 7th grade of education, and my uncle may have made it to high school. I don't think he graduated from high school. And yes, you know, during the early days, and this was the beauty of the Nation of Islam, during the FOI classes, FOI, you know, means the Fruit of Islam, the name given to the training of men who belong to Islam in North America. But the Nation of Islam in New York City, the way it was set up, if you had problems reading, they had someone to teach you. If you had, you know, different trades you were taught, if it was sheet metal, if it was replacing windows, you just found someone who was in the business, and it was your duty as a Muslim to take someone who may have needed a skill, and that's what made the community tight. And it was a beautiful thing. I loved the Nation of Islam. Coming up, you know, I wasn't like no average 7, 8, 9-year-old. I was into the Nation of Islam. I loved the Nation of Islam. I believed 1,000% that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was the leader and the teacher and the guide for all black folks. I believed that.
So let's talk about the title. Why did you choose this title?
I chose the title Blood, Sweat, and Tears is because it's true. I put it's a lot of blood. As you know, the Nation of Islam is a lot of blood and, you know, sweat and tears. As a teenager, you know, I would travel by myself. I was always a self-starter. I would travel and I'm moving forward now when the Nation of Islam began. As you know, in 1975, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad departed. And in 1979, I began to come in back with the Nation of Islam. As you know, there's a period, if you want to go into it, Wallace D. Muhammad took over the Nation of Islam. Yep. And Wallace D. Muhammad, the son of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, was named the leader of the Nation of Islam. And I didn't know much about Wallace Muhammad, but I said, okay, everybody seems to accept him, so I tried to accept him. But the more and more this young man talked, the more and more he was different from his father. I think the direction he was going in was not productive. And so I stayed around for 3.5 years, maybe close to 4 years with him. But then I heard a brother, first of all, named Brother Hamza El Hafiz in Brooklyn. And I started going there, but it was just a tiny group, and I knew we needed something better. And then I heard Minister Louis Farrakhan speaking in 1979 at Howard University. And they used to play a radio broadcast on WNJR on Saturday evenings, and that was 1430 on AM dial. And I took down the number, 778-5991, I believe the number was. And it was the number of local minister, Linwood X. And I was told that they meet at the Harlem State Office building. And so I was passing through there one day with about 4 other brothers. And I saw him get out the car. He had a Seville, and I saw him get out the car and didn't know that he was the minister, but I saw some brothers that was the Nation of Islam. I know the look. And so I said, let's go check it out, brothers. And the brothers that I was with were what we would call Bilalians. They were followers of Imam W.D. Muhammad. And but we went up there, and they was tapping me like they wanted to get out of here, but I was caught. I was caught in the teaching because that's what I was longing for. And it wasn't a large crowd, but what the brother was saying, I related everything, and it just reminded me of the times that I came up. When I came up as a little child, as I said, I used to hear my father, I would know when he was in the temple because the way he bear witness, he would always say, you better listen, that's right. And so when I began to work back with Minister Farrakhan, I used to say the same thing. Nobody knew why I was saying it, but that was in honor of my father. Because I was like, you know, you better listen, you know. And that was just something that I did as a child, and I just thoroughly enjoyed it. And so when the nation was coming back, I decided that, you know, I was going to stand there because my family all had gone with Wallace D. Muhammad's group, and I wanted to prove that our direction was right. And Minister Farrakhan, again, at that time, started to rebuild the Nation of Islam, he said, in 1977. But I remember him being on Randall's Island in 70. I actually saw him those years that he said that he was in exile. I saw him in 75, 76, 77, 78. We saw him. He was in New York on many occasions. He spoke at Randall's Island, September of 77, the month that he said that he had arisen. But
sorry, because I don't want you to keep going because I want to ask you some questions, and then I can't ask the question because you'll touch on it and then we can't go back to it.
Let's go.
Okay, so as the Nation of Islam, when you say the Nation of Islam and me in blood, sweat, and tears.
Again, let me just say this.
Okay, because I want to go somewhere.
We're gonna go with that.
Okay,
right. But when I say the Nation of Islam, the blood, sweat, and tears, the Nation of Islam and me, as I was saying earlier, I'm a self-starter. I used to, at the time, worked for the United States Postal Service. I would get in my car after getting off work 3:30. I would go to this instant printing place and print up the flyers that if Minister Farrakhan was speaking in Bridgeport, Connecticut, if he was speaking in the areas that's nearby, I would run off, pay to get the, the printing of the flyers. And I had this, this wallpaper stuff that I used to go and plaster up the sign. No one told me to do it, but I wanted the nation to come back that bad. So when I say sweat, that was sweat. It was many times I would be out at night and go right back to work. And when you have to deliver mail, climbing those steps, making all of those deliveries, it was rough. It was very rough, but I knew that hard work, it spells success by spelling hard work. So I knew that. And so I say that's the sweat that went in part of. The tears is we can address later because, but the blood is, we've seen people go to jail for things that a lot of Muslims, there's some sitting in prison today for something that happened in the 60s, 70s. Yes.
So also, if someone may not have had your personal experience inside of the nation, it still looks like whenever I meet somebody who's been through at certain years, then I'm like, wow, you've been through the death or the departure of Malcolm, Elijah Muhammad himself, now Wallace D, or not even their deaths, but just all these transitions. This one's in, now he's out. This one's good, now he's bad. Ali, Muhammad Ali, and things like that. So how did those, what would be outer big public fallouts and events affect you personally?
Well, I was blessed to see and hear Muhammad Ali not only box, but to see him teach in the mosque. I was blessed to see that. I was blessed to see Minister Farrakhan many times teach, the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad at our mosque in Manhattan and in Corona and Brooklyn as well as the Bronx. But I was always blessed to see these individuals. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad I never saw in person. I never saw. When he came in 1964, June the 28th, there was a hostile time, and I believe, honestly, that's the reason my father didn't take us that day, because there was the controversy. Malcolm had a showdown with the Honorable Elijah Muhammad to see who could attract more. I didn't understand it at the time, but later on, now I do.
We want justice. We want to be free people. We want to exercise freedom as any other human being. We want to expect justice from our fellow man or from any human being. We want to expect it in the court. When we go to court, we want the judge to remember that his book, his law book, have justice in it. Give it to me. Don't deprive me of justice, as I am a human being. This is human rights, human sympathy, human justice. This is what we want.
you know, so he in case there was something that was going to go down, I guess he didn't want us there. So, but I never got to see the Honorable Elijah Muhammad in person. I've got to hear his tapes when he would send letters back and that was read to us. I was able to hear that, but no, I was never able to see the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. But each one of their deaths affected me. Malcolm didn't affect me, to be honest with you. Growing up, I just heard that he was a hypocrite, and so I ran with that for many years. I said, well, he's a hypocrite. He, you know, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad gave him his name, and people don't love Big Red. People don't love Malcolm Little. They love Malcolm X, and who gave him the X? The Honorable Elijah Muhammad. He took the name Malik Shabazz, but he used Malik Shabazz when he traveled with the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And you know, I have supporting documentations to substantiate all of this, but Malcolm X didn't mean anything to me. Never did until later on when I started re-examining things.
All right, brothers and sisters, this behind me is the home of Malcolm X. Minister Louis Farrakhan's brother, Alvin Farrakhan, stayed right there. Turn that camera around. Where you're looking at Danny's grocery store, right above, he stayed in apartment 2B. That's Alvin Farrakhan. Again, the proximity. Just for your information.
He shot Ronald Stokes through the heart. He was a Phi Beta Kappa Korean vet.
Many of you thought that we should go right on out then and make war on the white man. You wanted to do it yourself, didn't you? Didn't you? You wanted some action then, didn't you? Because you don't like the idea of white people shooting black people down, do you? And you're ready to do something about it, aren't you? We know you are. And the white man should be thankful that God has given the Honorable Elijah Muhammad the control over his followers that he has, so that they can play it cool, calm, and collected.
And then it affected me, and I said, you know what? We have to tell the truth. We have to tell the truth. One thing I don't like is the hiding of things. You know, hiding the truth. I don't like that, because if this nation is to stand, it has to stand on a principle, and you can't just keep telling lies. And I say that when we moved to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and his passing, the believers in New York was never told the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. We heard it on the news, but I called the mosque, and they said, don't be careful of when someone unrighteous gives news to you. So okay, I said, fine. The believers who took the plane out to go to Savior's Day, they were not told the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was passing until the plane landed in Chicago. Then Minister Larry for Express Car, and they made the announcement that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad had passed. So why be deceptive? I don't like things like that. You know, we were told the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was still alive later on.
For how long?
Yeah, that's what I wonder. You know, but we were told that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and you know, we could move forward on that now. Minister Farrakhan started introducing things that didn't make sense. And so when I say blood, sweat, and tears, the tears is because, listen, I'm in the Nation of Islam, but I can't ask questions. It doesn't make any sense. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad was charged with impregnating teenage secretaries. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad was in charge with 21 children, they said. Why are these stories being told about Sister Tanetta, that she's the wife of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad? Now, I know Sister Tanetta passed away, but she's not buried with her husband. Where is she buried? In another state. So these are stories we just don't answer. Sister Evelyn Muhammad, she has one daughter that she claims is the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, but the other daughter, Shalima, is not on the birth certificate, but she's the wife of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Why the deception? Why not? I tried to contact all of these sisters when I had the Lance Shabazz show going. One of the wives or sisters, through her son-in-law, refused to talk to me. Another one, I sent a letter. I mean, I was trying to get to the root of it, because this is my Nation of Islam. If this is what we believe in, anything that is true need to be tested, anything or questioned. And you say, well, we keep it to the public. I didn't bring the notion of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad having babies out. Minister Farrakhan, it was you who told us this. You told us in your study, guys, that we had to study at the 33rd Surah. We have to study because we're going to have to defend it. If we're going to defend it, if you're in a courtroom and you have to defend something, you have to know the facts. You don't just, I know you say just if a dog barked to the moon, and yeah, I know what you're saying, Brother Minister, but we must tell the truth. If the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is alive, why is your national assistant Ishmael and them all receiving money because he passed away? That didn't make any sense to me. When I hear that Ola had a son in 1960 and she was born in 45, I said, wait a minute, that doesn't even make sense, you know. But I said, so why don't you tell the whole truth? Why put this stuff out of here? I have a photograph of Bernard Kushmir holding up a daughter in the newspaper. It wasn't his child, you know. I'm like, it's just some of the stuff, the lies, I just couldn't go with that. I couldn't go with that. And as I said, I'm not a troublemaker, but I'm saying we got to tell the truth. If the nation cannot stand on truth, then it's no good. And if it's rooted in lies, as they said, the minister said, with the gutter religion, you cannot have peace. You cannot have peace if it's lies. So again, blood, sweat, and tears was my. People may disagree with me and they may hate me. I know that tomorrow, meaning after I'm gone, and they start re-examining it, you'll get the sure truth there because it's documented. I didn't make up anything. This was written by you all. This is the work of you all did. I just told my story.
As we get ready to conclude, discontinue our part one of our interview with Sister Lelia Wills, I just was brought to my attention the auction of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's personal items. His crown that he wore on Savior's Day 1974 was up for auction May the 13th yesterday. I said, shaking my head, unbelievable.
Next, this is from Elijah Muhammad. This is the 14-karat yellow gold diamond, jewel encrusted. And it is the crescent symbol of the Nation of Islam. This is a ring that he wore, and very impressive. It is lot 243. Let's get started. 4,000, bid 42, now 4,400, now 4,400. Anyone now 4,400? Again, Elijah Muhammad now at 4,200 for his ring. Anyone now? Again, anyone now at $4,400? 44 I need. I'm at 42. Who's advancing to 44? Anyone beyond 4,200? Anyone beyond 42? Anyone? This is a beautiful ring all by itself. Never mind the celebrity owner. Anyone now at 4,200? Now 44. Now 4,400. Anybody there at 4,400? I'm at 42. Deserves more money. Deserves more. I'm at 4,200 now to advance to 44. Anyone? All right. We'll get it for 4,200. Now. You know what? I had trouble. Is this Kofia? Kofia. Ladies and gentlemen, this is pretty impressive, and it comes with the photo. Does it come with the photo as well of him, or that's just part of the description? Elijah Muhammad, black velvet and jeweled kofia, the hat essentially. This is again messenger of Allah in red and bearing the Temple 2 label. Again, one of the most luxurious kofias he had. This iconic items decorated with platinum, gold, diamonds, gems of all kinds, pearls. So. Very cool here. Let me read this. The provenance from this, because again, this is where the provenance is very, very cool. From Elijah Muhammad to his eldest son, Emmanuel. Then from Emmanuel to his daughter, Fatima. Emmanuel and Fatima put the kofia in the ring, which we just sold, presumably, in a safety deposit box at Guarantee Bank and Trust Company. In 1973, it's on the south side of Chicago, and those items remain in the safe until today. So, ladies and gentlemen, lot 244, what do we have? $26,000. Now $28,000. Now 28. 26 now, 28,000. What do you think of 28? 26 bid $28,000. Anyone out 28? I'm at $26,000. Come on, 28,000. Where are you? 28,000. What do you think of 28? 26 is the number. Someone show me 28 grand. Who's at 28,000? What do you say, ladies? Anyone out there? Heritage Life, go 28,000. I'm at 26. Not enough. Let's go $28,000. Let's go 28. I'm at 26,000. Anyone out to move it along at 28,000? 26 it is. Anybody else then beyond $26,000? Then we'll sell it at 26,000. Goes to book bid. Very nice.
If the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is physically alive, why haven't one of those wives put a stop to the auction that took place selling the Honorable Elijah Muhammad's crown that was given to him by the believers? Why didn't they put a stop to it that his personal items, his ring, could be auctioning off? Wouldn't a wife want that? We must wake up. We must wake up. Part 2 is to come shortly. Blood, Sweat, and Tears is the book. Available. Order it now by Brother Lance Shabazz. Blood, Sweat, and Tears, the Nation of Islam, and me. Thank you, thank you, thank you.